Voice-to-skull technology, or V2K, is 50 years old and uses microwaves to transmit audio up to hundreds of yards away through barriers to a person's skull. At the lowest volume, it is indistinguishable from thought. It can also control and manipulate one's speech also. Check with your local law enforcement or nearby federal office or military base or your nearby magician or mentalist, as they use it in magic tricks where they pretend to pick numbers from people's brains.
So a lot of weird things have been going on in my house. I do recall on Nextdoor, someone had posted that someone was flying drones in the neighborhood in a company-marked vehicle. Those people said that they were flying drones to get aerial shots for the homeowners association. The HOA responded immediately that no, that was not the case, and then the people kind of fled. I have no idea if that was the beginning of this group, but I do know that there were drones in our neighborhood. I saw drones outside of my house there, near the end of my stay there. I saw one fly up to my window, and then the week after I moved out of my neighborhood, after my house foreclosed, a woman had posted that there was a drone spying on her outside of her window. My gay best friend George Longoria moved in, and pretty soon he thought he heard me talking behind his back, and I would find him crying and going like, "I'm sorry, like whatever it is will change." And then it turned more from sadness to anger over a period of time. And one time he was like, "I heard what you said." I would never talk about someone behind their back, but nice things to say about George. But our relationship turned very sour, and he moved out. And I now know that he did hear my voice saying mean shit behind his back, or not really behind his back, but as other people heard people talking behind their back and had hallucinations. And I just thought it was some weird thing, because I did have a bad choice of roommates after that. But I don't think it was their fault. I think many of them were victims too, as was I. And I know now from these people, not just from them saying it, but from things that happened in the past when I was at my house, that, oh my God, you were there then. That's why Bernie went crazy. That's why George went crazy. That's why this happened. And in September 2016, I went to the extended stay. Suddenly, after 3 or 4 weeks, I started hearing high frequency noises. And it wasn't like anything I'd heard before. It wasn't the refrigerator. It was something different, and it seemed very purposeful. And what I mean by that is it seemed to follow me at times. It seemed to have an intent behind it. And I'm not a paranoid person. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I have a very rational thinking brain. And I started hearing voices. I heard a girl say, "Oh my God." I was completely naked in my bed. All the curtains were drawn. No one could see me. And I heard, a woman's voice go, "Oh my God, he's completely naked." But I was like, who are these people? And then they started talking with me. And I thought, maybe I'm going schizophrenic or something. I didn't really know much about schizophrenia. The really important thing is, they were like, the guy in 301 that we just did Simon Says with, he's got your phone, he hacked your Google account. It appeared that he had, and that he had my phone. My phone was in a radius that was within his room, or the room above, or in the immediate vicinity outside of his room. And an email address that linked to 2 Facebook profiles and 1 Google Plus profiles that appeared to be him. I think
that email address was used to hack my Google account. So once again, I do not have the power of premonition. I could not have predicted that the guy in 301 had my stolen phone or hacked my Google account. I could not have suspected that or guessed that, even in a paranoid, delusional, schizophrenic state. So that proved within a month of hearing these voices that they were from real people, and that I was not schizophrenic. I was not in denial. Additionally, schizophrenia does not hit someone at age 41 without a history of mental illness. That rarely happens. Within a week of moving in, I met a nice girl who moved in shortly after me named Pi. And ever since then, she's been part of the buzzwords and the buzz numbers. But as you can see here in Township, when that came up also in 2020, they were like, "Ooh, 314 Pi. Do you remember Pi?" This is where Pi lived, and this is where I lived. And what they said was that she was an IV drug user, and it's not my business. I don't think she is. But there were 2 Frisbee golf catchers, and they were like, "Ooh, that represents needles." And so there's one outside your apartment, and there's one outside Pi's, or someone around there. We're also gang stalking them, and we're making them into an IV drug user, or more of an IV drug user, and taking advantage of their addiction, which probably wouldn't exist if it weren't for us. And they also joked about how that represents a meth pipe. And shortly after I moved in there, they used Christine Pavelka's voice. And I was walking Max around the building, and they were like, "Ooh, we're going to drop a meth pipe in your bush." And right when I turned around the corner, like seconds later, I saw two girls walking by my apartment in the opposite direction, or I guess in the same direction I was walking in. And they were like, "We're going to drop a meth pipe in your bush." And not the girls, but the voices. And they did it in Christine Pavelka's voice. And I saw the girl dip down, and it looked like she was dropping something or picking something up near my bushes, but I didn't see anything. They were like, "Ooh, we're going to call the police and say there's a meth pipe in your bush, and we're going to get you arrested." Once again, I don't have the power of premonition. Before my visit to the Red River Family Practice, the voices had been starting to tell me details about past visits to Red River Family Practice over 10 years ago. They dropped pieces of information from past visits. It would say, "How would we know that? You must be schizophrenic, because like no one would know that. So we must not be real people. You must have schizophrenia." June 30th happened. It was a Saturday, and I went to see the doctor. He said, "Well, now we have an in-house lab next door that we can use, so we can just draw your blood here." And said, "I'm a very easy person to get blood from. Very easy. They just usually pop me right here." So she didn't seem to have a problem. She got the big vein right there and was taking blood. And then she stopped. And I thought she said, "Oh, I didn't get any. Let me get some help." And I was like, "Okay." And then I looked down, and I'd seen that she did take blood. So I didn't think anything of it. And she brought this white woman in. She took this ridiculously sized needle. It was not a needle that anyone would ever use to draw blood from in this day and age. She didn't draw any blood. She just went like that. And she smiled at me like this. And I was just in shock. At the most, all I needed was a single Band-Aid for this arm. They wrapped me in excessive medical tape in a sloppy manner. And so I left the office, and then the voices started up, and they were like, in Travis County Correctional Complex. They told me I was going to run into Micah. And lo and behold, I got moved. So Micah came up, and he was there. Once again, I don't have the power of premonition. In jail, I did a journal, December 4th, 2017. At 1:23 p.m., I heard, "Is it hard to breathe?" And then suddenly it felt like there were 1,000 little hands pushing on my chest, and then it was. Once again, I don't have the power of premonition. Then they said, "Reach for the stars." And this was just as an officer walked by that had a star tattoo on his elbow. I'd never noticed that before until they said that. Once again, I don't have the power of premonition. Another day, they said, "Are your ears hurting?" And then suddenly they are. And then a high-frequency tone just started being broadcast to my head. Once again, I don't have the power of premonition. Another day, they said, "We'll just pound your balls." And then they just did. Once again, I don't have the power of premonition. Another day, they said, "Fake heart rate increases dramatically." And then my heart rate increased dramatically. Once again, I don't have the power of premonition. Another day, they said, "Let's turn on the heat wave." And then it felt like a heat lamp was on my face. Once again, I don't have the power of premonition. Another day, they said, "We can make you throw up like Epicac syrup." And then I felt a heat lamp, the scalp chill, and the throat pressure, causing a burp that was almost a verp, almost made me vomit. Once again, I don't have the power of premonition. Another day, I was reading the Dark Tower series, and they oftentimes read along with me aloud while I was reading the book. And oftentimes they would read ahead. And then one day in particular, they read ahead when the text was on the other side of the page. So I thought that was important to note because I couldn't even see that in my peripheral vision. Once again, I don't have the power of premonition. Another day while I was writing my journal, they mentioned to me explicitly that I had forgotten to mention in my journal before that when I was on the bus coming back from court, that they mentioned the word easy. And then when I glanced to my left after they said that, I saw a sign that said easy something. And they made a big, whoop-de-doo about that. Once again, I don't have the power of premonition. They keep building up to a climax over and over and over again, coming up with ideas for their doom, which is like the dumbest thing in the entire world. They're trying to make me think that it's the person on the other side of the bed, and that's the one reason why these people are so dangerous. And it's because not only do they try to drive people towards hurting themselves or hurt, but they also try to drive people towards hurting other people. They're trying to make me think that it's the people over there, which I'm sure it's not. Ooh, Kip, look, 666. Ooh, it's evil, just like us. Ooh, 1341. Hey, Kip, you're going to see 1431 come up. You used to work off of 1431, right? You're going to see that come up a couple of times. Oh, look, Kip, we told you there was going to be a 1341 and a 1431 come up. Actually, there's going to be two 1431s that come up. Once again, I don't have the power of premonition. Ooh, Kip, look, there's another 1431. We told you there were going to be two of them coming up. How would we know that? Once again, I don't have the power of premonition. Oh, look, Kip, there's that 1040. Remember, you took 2 license plates. We reminded you that you took down 2 license plates that had 1040 in them. Remember that? So my sister has a figurine of a poodle that was in her trailer that I had moved into. And when I walked in the trailer one day, they had me focus on it. And they were like, ooh, we're going to use that poodle as a reference later tonight.
And there are too many years left, and I don't know what to do. Get a poodle.
Once again, I don't have the power of premonition. So the word Canton came up. My dad lives in Canton, Georgia. And they're like, ooh, that means that, that's a sign to hang in there. I don't give a shit.
So I told you heist was a buzzword recently. So they're telling me that they looked up all the answers for wordscapes, like in all the levels, and they mapped out like everything they were going to say after each response or whatever. And then ahead of time, they start dropping buzzwords, which is similar to what they were doing to me at the Grove in 2017. They were dropping hints throughout the week, kind of like when they found out that my dad was going to Ireland, and then a few days before that, or the week before that, they were dropping references to Teresa Ireland, my Latin instructor. Once again, I don't have the power of premonition. So the thing that they're going apeshit over this thing is they're saying that this thing that I'm putting my bubble around, that shape, that sort of mauve shape. Ooh, it looks like that. Ooh, it means something. Ooh, and I wouldn't have even noticed that. 737, that's the new area code in Austin. Ooh, I come across it, they're like, oh, that looks like that California raisin that you have. Didn't you used to collect those? Voice to skull can also control the words coming out of one's mouth. Think of a sound, or in conscious language, 3 signals go from your brain throughout your skull and to your throat. 1 signal goes through the bones in your skull. There actually exists on the market microphones that work like bone conducting earphones, but in reverse, and actually pick up this, what's called unvocalized speech, also called imagined thought, and also called covert speech. This is for use in loud areas and for people that need to take notes or communicate more securely than with speaking out loud. The other 2 signals go to your larynx or voice box area. There are actually 2 different microphones in very early initial stages of research. Attempts to use them for people with impaired speech. Hearing sounds and hearing another person speak or sing causes those same signals to go through your head. This is why you sometimes have to clear your throat when you hear someone sounding like they have to clear their throat. This is why you yawn when you hear someone yawning. This is why you can more easily sing on key when you can hear yourself singing or when you hear someone else sing on key. And because voice to skull goes straight to the skull, skipping the conversion process from the ambient noise that we hear that's an acoustic sound to bone conducting sound that our brain processes, it is a much faster communication than normal hearing and can allow a target to vocalize what they are hearing via voice to skull than someone else that is listening to someone normally and repeating what they hear. I'm going to allow the terrorists, which are already choosing to say the words that are coming out of my mouth, to continue speaking and do a demonstration of how voice to skull can be used to change your accent and to change your speech patterns. So now we're going to change his voice right now, and Kip Lacron did not choose to change his voice right now. Do you think Kip Lacron has multiple personalities and suddenly he's starting to talk about himself in the third person? Why aren't we doing the accent thing? Okay, now we're doing the accent thing. Hey, Carrie. Hey, Carrie, you think that Kip Lacron is choosing to do this? Do you think Kip Lacron is suddenly, changing accents? Do you think he has multiple personality disorder, Carrie? Look, we're going to start doing a Tourette's attack on him. And we find this so hilarious. Hey, Carrie, hey, guess what? Hey, we're going to start doing a Tourette's attack on him, Carrie. Look at that. Oh my God, we're shocking the left side of his face. We are slowly changing his voice right now. Do you think Kip Lacron is really choosing to do that? Kip never talks like this. He doesn't even do accents. He can do a southern accent, and we can pick that up right now. We can talk in a southern accent right now. We can totally change his voice. He saw his phone number, a portion of his phone number, 6 out of the 7 digits of his local phone number in the game that he's playing. So they're freaking out over this one because this is almost my phone number. 484-4247 is my phone number.
The odds of that happening are like 1 in a million. And then Sprinkle Spankles comes up in Blackish.
Is that us? That is not a coincidence that got in there. That serial that existed when Kip in 1993 or 1994, that Kip ate with Ben and Roby, and we know both of those. We knew about Roby, and we know that like the lesbian or the gay guy said, "I can smell it from over here, the sugar." And we know about the banana runs container. How would we know that? Did you know that you will forever be known as someone who wouldn't spend less than 10 seconds of your time with the most minimal amount of effort to help? Did you know that you, all of you may think that you're fighting terrorism when in fact you are supporting terrorism? If a little girl was being raped, beaten, and stabbed in here, you would not send messages of hope to the terrorists via text message to give to the little girl while they're raping, beating, and stabbing her. Did you know that better is better than the worst? Did you know that anything is better than the worst? You literally have actively participated along with terrorists and aided terrorists and supported terrorists in pushing Kip down the suicide path, the worst path possible. He would die lonely, never to be happy again, in pain, being physically and sexually assaulted, never to know if his father or anyone else ever believed him. We say that to him all the fucking time, along with so many other horrible things that we say to him. You are not powerless or incapable of helping